all House members that are going to be on the ballot. It's going to be these congressional members that are going to have to face the consequences. And Trump, Harry, he's not going to have to.
Yeah, he's not going to have to. But I'll tell you, there is pretty much zero chance if Donald Trump's approval rating is 41% in November of 2026, the Republicans have any shot of holding the House of Representatives. I repeat, there is no precedent for a president's approval rating being as low as Donald Trump's is right now, and then his party holding on to the House in the midterm elections. We were talking about it yesterday. I mean, when you look at approval ratings this low, this early, you look at where the generic ballot is this low, this early, that usually spells doom for the president's party when it comes to midterm elections.
Yeah, and to that point, Republican Don Bacon of Nebraska saying that maybe he's going to be considering retirement, trying to figure out if that's going to be worth it or not for him. Which obviously all of these people have to do. And Molly, you have a piece in the Wall Street Journal, The Never Surrender President Retreats. And I think there is the question of how much is he internalizing any of this, and does he care?
Well, you do see him backing down on a few fronts recently, right? The way we've seen him handle the tariffs, the on again, off again, the fact that he's paused them in the face of blowback from the markets and from his own party. The way that this week he went back on his seeming threats to want to terminate the chairman of the Federal Reserve, which the markets did not like at all. But even the way he's approaching, things like Doge, the sort of gradual phasing out of that Elon Musk effort, as Joanna talked about, and on Ukraine now threatening to walk away from these talks entirely. Now, we did see some potential progress with the Zelensky meeting yesterday at Pope Francis's funeral. But these are a lot of different fronts on which you see, a president whose popularity is declining, starting to potentially moderate some of these vast promises that he's made, even as, of course, he is still being maximally confrontational in a lot of different ways. But you saw the student visa issue, right? The administration just completely abandoning that attempt to take away thousands of student visas on Friday. So you see in a lot of places they are backing down to some degree.
Yeah, and immigration, obviously a key issue. One of the ones he really, what Donald Trump thought was the central issue of that campaign. A couple of notes of what we've just seen lately with this federal judge saying that a 2-year-old U.S. citizen was deported with her mother to Honduras. That was from earlier on Friday. And then the ACLU now saying that the New Orleans Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE field office deported at least 2 families, including 2 mothers and their minor children, aged 2, 4, and 7 years old. One of the mothers is currently pregnant. Tia, how do you think this hits with the average American?
So again, I think, for the average American, unfortunately, we saw at the beginning of Trump's term that a crackdown on illegal immigration, on undocumented immigrants, was something that at least the plurality of Americans said they welcome. Right. But the way it's being carried out, I think, is starting to draw pause from a lot of people, especially the lack of due process, the inconsideration of the directives that have come from judges across the nation. And now we have minor children. And I think it's being framed, I think, in some circles, it's like, oh, well, the mother, of course you want a kid to stay with their mother, and this is a custody battle. No, there was also a lack of communication. They weren't even allowed to speak to the fathers. A lot of these mothers and fathers weren't necessarily in disagreement. Mm-hmm. They were not allowed to be in communication, period. So I think a lot of these details are going to be troubling to people as they learn more about these U.S. citizens. And at least one parent also appears to have been a U.S. citizen, and yet these children were removed from the country.
Harry,
it's just, the word I would use is chaotic. It's all chaotic, and it all kind of clouds over. We talk about the economy individually from immigration, but you were saying how they're interconnected. All of these issues are interconnected, and they really just go to the man in the office. And I think that last point I was making there over at the wall, will use the power responsibly, no confidence. You get 54% of Americans who say they have no confidence that the President of the United States will use his power responsibly. I don't understand how you can govern with that in an effective way, at least as far as the American people are concerned.
All right, much more on this to come.